One of the biggest challenges that I've had to overcome in my adult life is the fear of being alone. And it's such a horrible fear. It's an awful feeling like you need to cling on to relationships, like you need to do whatever it takes so that someone doesn't leave you, or so that you have the upper hand in the relationship, so they can't leave, and just ignoring red flags, and it's just awful. And I wanted to share my story of how I got to the other side of that, in hopes that it helps someone that might be in that place right now. At the time where this was really prominent in my life, I thought that being alone was just a horrible, horrible thing. I thought that if I didn't have a boyfriend or a partner, then I was behind everyone else. And I might never find something better. I remember being in a relationship that started off really well, but halfway through the relationship, I knew I was ready to, move on. But I was just so scared. And this might sound silly, but I was with someone that's really funny. And I just thought to myself, well, maybe I can never find someone that's this funny. I was thinking maybe I can't find someone with all these amazing qualities that also have the things that I needed that were lacking. And so I stayed in that relationship for so, so long. And it got to the point where I was complaining to my best friend about the relationship and what wasn't working. And she ended up saying to me, Jaidyn, you need to make the decision. And I'm so glad that this is tough love, but I'm so glad that she did. She goes, Jaidyn, you need to make the decision that you're in this relationship and you have chosen that, and you can't be complaining to me anymore about this because it's making me not like your partner. It's just every time I give you advice and then nothing happens, or you break up with him. And I am so glad that she did that. And sometimes in life, you need to have someone say that to you, one, and two, be willing to accept it. Because if you have this big fear of being alone, which I still did at the time, it's so easy to hear that and then turn on the people closest to you. At the time, it would have been easy in my mind to just stay in the relationship and be unhappy on the inside and now not talk to anyone about the problems, which would have made them so much worse. I remember just after that relationship, I just jumped straight to the next one. I was so worried about being alone that literally the next person that I went on, like, I think 2 dates with, I went straight into a relationship with. And that relationship had a lot more issues. It was someone that just wasn't aligned with me. There was so many red flags. The reason I stayed was just because in my mind, being in an unhappy relationship was better than not being in one. And I had now a bit of a track record just to jump from relationship to relationship. What ended up happening at the end of that relationship was I was then, I know this is really brutally honest, and I'm outing myself here, but I feel like I need to be honest because this is something that I feel like a lot of people with this fear do. And I was interested in someone else while I was still in that relationship. And so I ended the relationship thinking that things with this other person might go forward. And they didn't. And because they didn't, I was now alone. I now was what I was scared of being. And it was so freeing. It was the best thing that happened to me. It really was. It was the best. Like, looking back, thank gosh. Otherwise, I would have kept doing the same cycle, because the person that I was interested in wasn't even someone that had all the amazing qualities that I was hoping for in a partner. They were just, had some good qualities. And I was so unhappy in the relationship I was in then that I thought, oh, well, this one will be better. And rather than, it's almost like doing that, you're taking tiny little steps each relationship. And instead of having some time alone and then being able to take a big step into a good relationship. And this isn't even about relationships, because when you are looking at the goal of getting over this fear, you need to stop trying to look at the ideal outcome being in a happy relationship. That's not the ideal outcome anymore. And I had to figure this out the hard way. So please learn from my mistakes. So what ended up happening was I was now kind of thrown in the deep end of being alone. And I did so much inner work that I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this time. Like, it was a rejection. I was like rejected, and I just got so into self-development. I got so into, rejection is redirection. And I just kept telling myself, rejection is redirection. And so I was like, I'm going to use this time to be alone, because this hasn't worked out for a reason. And it's probably because I'm not meant to be in a relationship right now. And I knew that. And I knew that the reason I wanted to be in that relationship wasn't because I liked that person. It was because I didn't want to be alone. And so I was like, okay, well, I got really okay with the idea that I'm willing to wait. And I didn't look at it like I'm going to be alone forever, because once you're actually single or alone, it's not that scary. It's the same. It's kind of similar to when I first became a mum. And I was holding my baby, and it was like postpartum, like craziness. And I was talking to my mum in tears, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And she was like, you can do this, and you are doing this. Whew, mind blown. Exactly. You are doing it. Once you're in that situation, you figure it out. You realize, okay, actually, it's not that scary because I'm doing it right now. And if you need to just take it day by day, that's what you need to do. Anyways, so I just got really okay with the idea that I was willing to wait. And I was like, you know what? The person that I want to be with, the person that I want to end up with, because I'm like, I don't want to mess around with any more silly relationships that aren't aligned. I want to find the real deal. And I was 22. And so I was thinking, you know what? I'm 22. I've got plenty of time. And that's not to say that you need to be in your early 20s to have this mindset, but that helped me at the time. I was like, you know what? I'm not even in season 1 of Friends yet. I've got time. Like the Friends characters, they didn't even find, their people until like their like 30s. So I was like, I've got plenty of time. Moving on. I was like, I've got time. I'm going to really use this time to become my real self. And what I did was I made a list of all the things I was looking for in a partner. And it was a pretty big list. It was, I think, 15 to 20 qualities. And I was looking at this list and I'm like, if this person even exists, it's going to take a while for me to find them. So what I need to do is when I find them, I need to have these same qualities, because someone with all these qualities isn't going to settle for someone who doesn't have those qualities, because that has to be like such a good person. I need to match that. I'm going to use this time to match that. I spent a good solid few months I was going on dates. I was like, well, you never know. And each date would bring me closer to the person I was meant to be with. And every day that you work on yourself and work on becoming more aligned with your goals and your true self, the more okay you are with your own company. By the end of those few months, I was loving myself. And I feel like that's something, if you're so scared to be alone, maybe that's something you're missing. Are you scared of your own company? Maybe that's something that you need to fix. Because also, if you're scared of being alone or scared of being in your own company and you don't like your own company, how is anyone else going to enjoy your company? You know, you might be giving off vibes that you're really insecure, and that might put drain on your relationships because they're constantly, and this isn't just romantic relationships, this is friendships and family relationships. You might just be putting so much stress on these relationships because they are having to spend their energy trying to make sure that you feel loved and that you are enough, when really, no matter how much external validation you get, it doesn't matter, because it's not going to help. Like, it's not going to mean anything unless it's coming from within. Because if you don't believe it, you're not going to believe it. It's like that quote that's like, if you have brown hair and someone comes up to you and says, I hate your blue hair, or I love your blue hair, it's really beautiful, you're not going to believe them. You're going to think this person's crazy. I don't have blue hair. And that's the same with external validation and getting that. And so I really use that time to work on myself and love myself and validate myself. And it worked. Your goal should just be each day getting more towards your true self. And the best way to find that is to look at the qualities that you admire in others, the qualities that you want in yourself. And yeah, it could be by making a list about your ideal partner and matching that. That's just what I did. Or it could be reflecting on your own values and really trying to become the version of yourself most aligned with that. Whatever works. But just in the background, once you become your truest self, you're going to be on the level of someone at their truest self. And eventually, it will happen that you will find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. And it will be great. But you just need to know that. You know, you just need to just believe that it will come when it's ready to come. Just make sure that you're ready for when it comes. Being alone, it seems scary. Everything seems scary when you're on the outside looking in. But once you're in, it's not scary. You just take it one step at a time. Each day, like during those months where I was really working on myself, I just took it one day at a time. And, you know, one of the things I really wanted to do was lose weight and become more fit. And so each day I just had a goal. I would just move. And some days I didn't feel like going to the gym. I'd just go for a walk. And that's what I did. And it worked. When you love yourself, it's more scary thinking about being in a relationship with someone who doesn't value you, or in a relationship with someone who doesn't treat you the way that you want to be treated. But once you have self-love, you know that you don't deserve to be treated that way, and you deserve a relationship that fills your cup. And so you won't stay in situations or relationships until the better one comes around, because a better one, a better relationship is a decision away, because it's a relationship with yourself that doesn't include someone that doesn't fill your cup. That's basically all I wanted to say. I think I'm happy to end it there. And I appreciate you listening, and I really hope that if you're in a position now where you are scared of being alone, and maybe you're in a relationship that doesn't fill your cup, or a relationship that you're just hanging on to by a thread and just holding on so tightly, I'm giving you permission to let go, and I'm telling you that if you don't like your own company, you can work on becoming someone that you love. And being alone isn't scary. It's not bad. Thank you for being here with me today. I'll talk to you later.